Radio. The essence of this world economic depression is that the financial panic part of it has been generated by hedge funds using derivatives. That's the deadly combination. Hedge funds plus derivatives equals the destruction of civilization as we have known it. And specifically, let's take a look at material that became known to the public here in the Wall Street Journal on, Tuesday of this. What happened with the 1,000-point dive on the previous Thursday between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon? The Dow lost 10% of its value, minus 1,000, a paper amount of $1 trillion. That's pretty much the cost of the Afghan war over the entire time. Wiped out in 10 minutes, showing once again that these deregulated markets are impossible as the basis of human civilization. They are incompatible with human civilization. How did it happen? Well, according to the investigations, it goes back to a hedge fund called Universa. And Universa is a special hedge fund because on their board of advisors, they've got the infamous Black Swan, Nassim Taleb. Nassim Taleb, of course, is a hedge fund hyena, but he's one with intellectual pretensions. He writes books about the Black Swan, the impact of improbable events. And, of course, in reality, these crashes are not improbable at all. If you look at Surviving the Cataclysm, a really authoritative book as distinct from the musings of a hedge fund hyena, you will find that these crises have been occurring. We've had one systemic crisis every couple of years since the beginning of the globalization era, in particular in around 1990. So it's not a black swan. Even Nouriel Roubini, whom we otherwise disagree with on most things, points out it's not a black swan at all. This is a garden variety swan. The only question is as Leo Slazak once asked, when is the next swan leaving? So here we have Universa Hedge Fund, and they are interested in betting. So they go into the options market. Options are derivatives, not over-the-counter, exchange-traded, but they can be just as bad. They better be taxed, too, and some of them need to be outlawed. In this case, Universa goes in there and they place a bet that if, according to the bet, if the Standard & Poor's 500 index goes from where it was at this point, which is about 1160, 1170, if it goes below 800 before the end of the year, then Universa Hedge Fund gets $4 billion. Okay, and they're willing to put up money for this, not specified how much. By June, not even by the end of the year, by June. So from 1145, where it was at the time of the trade, to 800 in June. Who takes the bet? Barclays Bank. Oh, another story. City of London, always there. Barclays Bank, very heavily involved in the bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers. There's always that fratricide coming from the British against their dear friends in Wall Street. British policy, beggar my neighbor, export the crisis. And we'll see that even more under the current Tory regime. So they take it. They take the bet. Barclays Bank accepts the bet, and then the markets begin to fall on this Euro panic and Greek panic. And as the markets fall, minus 350, and at a certain point you've got the S&P down, 20, 30, 40 points. Later on in the day, of course, it would go to minus 100. At that point, the people in Barclays begin to get scared. They're going to lose their $4 billion bet. So what they do is hedge. They balance that risk by shorting all kinds of stocks so that if indeed the S&P does go to 800, they will have made tremendous profits on the way by shorting a whole bunch of component stocks on the way down. So at that point, Barclays Bank is furiously shorting through options and other means, not specified in the reports, but clearly those, they are essentially dumping stocks on the market. So this then creates significant selling pressure because it's a big bet. It's 50,000 options contracts by Universa through Barclays, and then those have got to be balanced and hedged by short sales of stock. Now, that begins then in the context of a pre-existing panic, because there was a panic already. It was already down 350 when this started. It begins to generate tremendous selling pressure through the options market. Again, hedge funds plus derivatives, in this case options. And then we get a couple of high-frequency trading funds that pull out of the market. That is TradeWorks of Red Bank, New Jersey, and TradeBot Systems of Kansas City, Missouri. They shut down their operations. They liquidate all of their trades. They're afraid that the whole thing is going to collapse, so they pull out of it. And this significantly reduces the demand in the market. And at this point, then, you get that classic situation. You've seen it in 1929. You've seen it in 1987. If there's a large amount of stock offered and there are no buyers, there's no bid. There's a supply offered, but no bid. At that point, it begins to go gap down. It just falls. The stocks go into free fall. There is no bid. And that's how one of these, Accenture, went from whatever the price was to 1 cent per share. Procter & Gamble got involved. They are apparently a component of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and that gets you your 1,000-point drop. Now, it is important to have circuit breakers. It is important to allow these individual stocks to have their trading halted, but that misses the big picture. Ban hedge funds. Universa is a hedge fund. How many times do you have to be burned? $1 trillion of what these guys consider wealth, paper wealth, $1 trillion destroyed in 10 minutes. How many times can you do that? That destroys a society. The damage of that is permanent. A lot of it is hidden now. It's being hidden deliberately, obviously. Crony bailouts, backdoor bailouts, all kinds of arrangements to hide the true carnage and wreckage of this thing. Ban hedge funds. And if they're using derivatives, certain kinds of derivatives have got to be banned. That would include credit default swaps, obviously, and collateralized debt obligations. There's discussion in the media this week about the need to ban credit default swaps. It comes up with these talking heads on CNBC and Bloomberg. But, of course, today the Wall Street Journal says it's time to look at the benefits, right, the bright side of over-the-counter derivatives. Let's see if I can find this. Here we go. Wall Street Journal, May 14th, today. Article on the op-ed page. In Defense of Over-the-Counter Derivatives by Mark C. Brickell. Mark C. Brickell is a managing director at J.P. Morgan and was the chairman of the International Swaps and Derivatives Association. Well, the International Swaps and Derivatives Association is an enemy of the United States. It should be declared an enemy alien under the Trading with the Enemy Act, and everything they have in this country should be immediately seized. It is more dangerous than the National Socialist German Workers' Party was in the 1930s. It's more dangerous than the Communist International. It's more dangerous than Mao or anybody like this. Time to shut them down. This article will take its place, say, with those essays by Jeremy Bentham, one of the founders of British intelligence, his famous essay, In Defense of Pederasty, or his other wonderful essay, In Defense of Usury. This could be put also with such essays as In Defense of Potassium Cyanide as a necessary component in school lunches. In other words, let's give kids cyanide tablets to play with in the school or so forth, right? These are toxic instruments. The derivatives have caused the Depression. Time to wipe them out. And there are some very, very timid moves against derivatives, as we've seen. We'll talk about those in a minute.